That's
No, the question is, if we were talking about affirmative action and you had 8,000 faculty and 5 were black, you would say that's a problem. Now, given that everybody brings a certain ideology to their job, particularly if you're teaching students, that is a problem if it doesn't represent America. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years, a politician back home and here. Does it bother you? Does it bother you that your faculty does not remotely represent America? It is disproportionately not only Democrat, but progressive Democrat, which is where this idea that anti-Israel is the thing to come from. That's where it comes from, the progressive left, and way disproportionately, your faculty also comes from the progressive left. That's why these people get away with this and think it's normal.
Welcome back to Right View Nation, where we tell it like it is. No apologies, no censorship, and no woke nonsense. Folks, I just finished watching yet another eye-opening, or should I say blood-boiling congressional hearing about anti-Semitism on college campuses. And let me tell you something. It confirmed everything we've been saying for years. The American university system is no longer about education. It's about indoctrination. It's a taxpayer-funded breeding ground for far-left ideology and open hostility toward anything remotely pro-American or pro-Israel.
I recognize the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Grothman.
Thank you. First of all, just a quick general statement. This has been talked about, the third or fourth, fifth, whatever, committee hearing dealing with anti-Semitism on American campuses, the fact that in many campuses the Jewish students don't feel safe because of what's going on or not being done on the part of the administration. I'll point out, we could sit here for years, we're never going to have a committee hearing on anti-Semitism at the construction site. We're never going to have one anti-Semitism working in retail or working in manufacturing or in the military, or anti-Semitism in the retirement home. This is basically a university problem. And I think it became a problem because we have such a slanted overall view of the world in the university compared to the country as a whole. You know, in an ideal world, I think you'd say that the university faculty represents a cross-section of the country. But we all know that's not true. If we talk to university professors, they'll tell you I was the only person out of 20 people here who voted for President Trump in my department or whatever. And, you know, not every state keeps track of, you know, which party you register in, but in universities that they do keep track, or people do studies, the universities are just overwhelmingly Democrat, which is a breeding ground for this anti-Semitism, because right now, the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, not the entire Democrat Party, but the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, which kind of drives the train over there, this anti-Israel feeling has become one of the things, along with global warming or racism or whatever, that becomes the norm. I'll ask a couple of you guys. I guess I'll start with Dr. Lyons. Do you feel your university ideologically across the board represents the country as a whole, or even California, as far in disciplines in which there's an ideological component? Law school, journalism school, political science. Does it bother you if it is, you know, the country as a whole right now is about 50-50. Does it bother you that you do not, that I assume, like most college campuses, your student body and your faculty, especially your faculty, don't even remotely represent America?
ideological or political considerations are not conditions for employment at UC Berkeley. That's true.
No, the question is, if we were talking about affirmative action and you had 8,000 faculty and 5 were black, you would say that's a problem. Now, given that everybody brings a certain ideology to their job, particularly if you're teaching students, that is a problem if it doesn't represent America. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years, a politician back home and here. Again and again and again, I hear from college students who can't say what's on their mind in an essay or whatever because they know the teacher will give them a bad grade or feel the teacher will give them a bad grade if you didn't give the progressive viewpoint of the world. Does this bother you, and do you think this is any of the problem? We'll ask you, Dr.
Well, your statement about getting a bad grade because of
Does it bother you? Does it bother you
it
that
bothers me deeply.
your faculty does not remotely represent America? It is
bothers me-
disproportionately not only Democrat, but progressive Democrat, which is where this idea that anti-Israel is the thing to be come from. That's where it comes from, the progressive left, and way disproportionately, your faculty also comes from the progressive left. That's why these people get away with this and think it's normal.
What bothers me, Congressman, is anything that interrupts a dialogue across different intellectual positions.
So it doesn't bother you if 95% of your faculty in disciplines that have an ideological component are progressive Democrats?
Not if we have a thriving
Good.
dialogue.
Okay,
across
Mr.
different-
Rodriguez, what do you think about that?
Well, we have about 20,000 faculty members of the City University of New York, and they are a diverse group of.
Do they
of faculty
represent,
members.
do they even remotely represent America as a whole?
I have no way of knowing
You
that.
must have idea, when you walk around campus and it was a week going to the last election, were there robust debates in which half the people were for Trump? Of course not. You're very, very skewed faculty, which is where this whole problem comes from. Do you acknowledge that your faculty does not ideologically
Gentleman, to finish
represent
the
America?
question as quickly as possible.
Again, we have a large number of faculty, and they represent diverse points of view, diverse political viewpoint all across the City University of New York.
If I ask you to
The
name,
gentleman's time has expired.
thank you for being friendly.
He yields back. I now recognize the gentlelady from Minnesota, Ms. Omar.
Representative Grothman from Wisconsin said it plainly. Antisemitism is not running rampant in your local Home Depot, your neighborhood construction site, or your small-town diner. It's not on military bases or in churches or in retirement homes. No, sir. It's centralized, festering, and growing inside the walls of America's so-called elite universities. And why? Because these places are infested with radical left-wing professors and administrators who don't represent this country. They represent the progressive fringe. Let's call it what it is. Our universities have become Marxist echo chambers. And if you dare to think differently, if you support President Trump, if you believe in traditional values, or if you back the nation of Israel, you are silenced, shamed, or outright punished. Grothman pointed out something most of us already knew. These schools don't even try to reflect the ideological makeup of America. We're a 50-50 nation, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a conservative voice in departments like political science, journalism, or law. And don't get me started on gender studies or critical race theory classrooms. You might find more diversity at a Trump rally in Texas than in the faculty lounge of UC Berkeley. And when Grothman pressed them about it, what did the university reps say? We have diverse viewpoints. Oh, really? You mean you have progressives and ultra-progressives? Because when it came to the 2020 election, were students having actual debates? Were faculty encouraging pro-Trump perspectives? Of course not. These campuses are more skewed than a CNN poll. Now here's the kicker. Students are scared to speak the truth in their essays. Let that sink in. In the land of the free, at institutions supposedly built on the free exchange of ideas, students are terrified to write what they really believe. If that doesn't scream totalitarian brainwashing, I don't know what does. And don't think for 1 second this environment doesn't contribute to anti-Semitism. The radical progressive wing of the Democratic Party has turned being anti-Israel into a moral badge of honor. It's grouped right alongside climate hysteria, gender confusion, and racial division. Hatred toward Israel, and by extension Jewish students, is excused, even celebrated, under the banner of social justice. Let me be absolutely clear, anti-Semitism, in any form, is evil. And what's even more evil is when institutions of higher learning not only fail to stop it, but cultivate the very environment that allows it to thrive. This isn't just a university problem anymore. This is a national security problem. We are producing generations of brainwashed activists who hate their own country, reject Judeo-Christian values, and have zero understanding of what made America the greatest nation on earth. So what's the solution? First, stop sending your kids to these indoctrination camps unless they're ready to fight back. Second, demand transparency and ideological balance in our publicly funded schools. Third, cut off federal funding to any university that refuses to protect its Jewish students or allows radical faculty to push hate under the guise of academic freedom. And lastly, never be afraid to speak the truth. Because if we don't stand up now, we lose everything. Our future, our freedoms, our identity. That's what Right View Nation is all about. Standing strong, standing proud, and refusing to bow to the woke mob. Like, subscribe. Share this message with everyone who's sick and tired of the lies. We're just getting started, patriots. God bless you. God bless Israel. And God bless the United States of America.